So let's test if everything is working okay in Postman. So I'll just write HTTP because we're running at about so okay, let me just new collection. What's this? Okay, HTTP localhost 8000. So if I send this request, you'll see we are getting, let me just expand this. Right, general token. So it's 16. Okay, close. So you can see we are getting method not allowed because there's no endpoint configured to get anything. So we can just add a test for the same, and you can see we get this one. So it should not be so dot status. We need to change that status to 405 so that so if I send again, you'll see method not allowed here and you get 405. So then we have the endpoint set up. Okay, then we can just initialize this. Okay, so let's say dot git ignore. We need to add a dot git ignore node modules so that they are not counted as part of. We need dot env. So once this is set up, we can just git add dot, can commit these changes to say all are staged and say initialize project setup. Okay, I will work on the git thing later. So once this is set up, this won't be necessary now. Let's set up our database connection. So for the database connection, we'll add let's say we'll add MongoDB. Or we'll just add dbf2 and make index.ts. So from our index, then we can now import dbconfig, then import mongoose from mongoose. So we don't have mongoose installed, we need to install it. Add here So Mongoose is installed. Then we just need to mongoose.connect. So we just need to connect dbconfig.mongoURI. Okay. So then we need to add some listeners. Mongoose.connection.on. So we have events. So events such as connected. Then we have a callback for it. Okay. Let's say we have inline parameters. Okay. What's this? So we just log db connected. Then we can just say again db.mongoose.on connection.on. If you have any error, then we just need to listen error. For that error, which is type any, then we just log error connecting to db. Say can just add the error dot message if there is any. Then we just need to export default mongoose from here. So that one is done with everything pertaining to database. So we'll need to, because the intent of this is to have folders within folders for the files, and the files will have folders. So let's try to set up our routes. First, let's start with models first. So then let's start with folder dot model dot ts. So what will we need for folder? So export type file folder type. So I'll just need equal sign here. So we'll need a folder name, which will be a string. We'll need again we'll need we'll need parent. I'll make it any. So this parent is the one which will be UID representing the parent folder, if any. The backend running. Okay. So let's add your port, which will be 5000. Let's make it 8000. Mongo URI should be localhost MongoDB localhost, then let's say file manager. So then the files will be any array. So from here we need to set up a media file. So let's say export type file folder document type. Let me use interfaces. So in here we'll have doc, which will be of type ifile folder, and extends ifile folder. That's how it will be. Then we'll have export interface ifile folder model, which extends mongoose dot model. Then we pass in our media file or file ifile folder document. So we don't have any static properties here. So then from here we can create const folder schema is equals to mongoose dot schema. Then we pass our ifile document here. So it will be new, forgot the new keyword. So down here let's add timestamps true. This now will add created at and deleted at properties. So all I need to do here is just a files. So type will be array. How do we call it? It will be array of mongoose dot schema type dot object. It should be schema types dot object id. So this will be an array of that. So ref will be files. Let's say media files. Let's call it media files. Okay, just make it file, media file. So then we'll need a name required true. Okay, will be true. Unique will be false. Then so here we'll add a default message. Folder name is required. Okay, then parent type mongoose dot schema type dot object id. Ref will be folder. It will be folder, then required will be false. So this schema. So this means I will be having files in a folder. A folder must have a name, and a parent is optional. So the ID will be created for us by MongoDB. Then I think all is good here. Then now we need to add this to, we export default mongoose dot model, then we pass in folder, folder document folder model, then we pass the name, which will be folder, then we'll add folder schema, and that way we are just done with this part. So for the folder we are done. So next we need to create file. file.model.ts. we'll just need to copy all this, then so ifile need to refactor this to media file. So refactor, case sensitive, refactor everything, then we'll need a bit of, so we'll store let's say original file, let's say file name, original name, original name will be string, love encoding, just confirm a bit, so we'll have encoding string, we'll have MIME type, this will not be media type, so I have some MIME type somewhere. I just need to import them. So there are so many, and so I have for images, image MIME types. I also have audio MIME types. Paste here. We have audio, video, and image. So might be able to support video and images. So this one should be in the file model. Okay, for the MIME types, this one will be there in the code. For the MIME type, we'll add image, say video MIME types, or image MIME types, or audio MIME types. So it will be a combination of video MIME types, image MIME types, and audio MIME types, because those are the ones that we'll be supporting in our file upload. Next we need to add a path in which it's stored. We need size, which will be a number. Then we need type. For now we have to either be image or video or audio, or maybe we can add one for zips or archive. Maybe let's have that. Then folder, which will be type any for now. This will be folder UID. So we need date of upload. That one will be able to get from the created at and. So file name, we need file name. So for the file name, let's just go with that for now. Start here with folder. Folder will be this. Ref will be folder. File name. So this one should be there. File name is required. Then okay, original name should be string. No need for that. Original name is required. Then we can just add here. So once we have this set up, we can add a media file. Okay. Then we need to change what is here. Folder schema now should be media file schema. Then we also need to refactor here to be media file schema. So let's make sure everything is in place. What else is remaining here? We need encoding. Should we type string? Should be capital S. Required true. Then MIME type string, and so I won't use enum here. Required true. Then type. Okay, we need type type enum. Need audio, image, video, and archive. Okay, so yep, so hope that's okay. but all these are required. True. Type. So that one I guess is now done. What else is remaining here? Size, type, number, required, true. Yep. So that should do it for. Let's make sure this is the same thing we wrote here. Okay. So what else is remaining here? Just configuring the endpoints. We need to set up the endpoints so that we have the models ready. Okay, image. Okay, so we have the models ready, so we need to get to the routes. So let's say upload. Should we use MVC or should we use what? Let's use the MVC architecture. So just controllers, then services. So okay, let's start with this. It won't be one endpoint for all files, but we'll do the image part. I'll only work with images for today, so I'll just write image.service.ts. Then I'll create a similar controller, export class image service image upload service. Okay, so it's exported. Image dot route just use it route dot ts. Import route router from express. So then all we need to do, const router is equals to new just router, then we export default router. So what we'll do here is for the router we'll need to import it here, so that router dot use, let's say, images, then we pass images, image router. So have we really exported this? Call it controller. Controllers, so we have images running, so our server is still running, and we can just test app router dot get, just a simple get request res return res.json message images. So let's try running this. It's a get request /API v1 images, send. Then you can see we get message images, so that means the endpoint is working. Okay, how do I even increase this font? Okay, try. Okay, so I can have this as my base URL. Okay, PIV1, then new, and collection. Okay, settings. Not sure where they put these things, but where do we store the variables? Okay, seems I have to sign in first. So this is working, and you can see we get this. Okay, that means our endpoint is working. So let's see how to upload images. So just import const image service. This is not the best way of doing this. Image upload service. Should avoid this at all cost. So router dot post, so we need to upload. Okay, so here we need async upload images. Let's say upload image. We'll take request of type app request, response, app response, next of app next. So then we can just return res. So mostly we do a try, catch, error, type any, then we return next with error. So reason why we return next, so we have our default error handler already set up behind the scenes, so it will be the one we'll be using to handle all those. So okay, I guess I'm a bit confused here. So this controller, this won't work as expected. So this is a mixture of things. Okay. Okay. Let me just call this controller. I'll work everything else out. These controllers will disappear. So image controller, so we have image.route.ts, then import the router from route node or express. So once we have imported this, so I was a bit confused, so I won't make this complicated. I'll just export an instance of this default new image. So import, so let's call this so it will be not service controller. image upload controller. So we import image controller. Then what we'll do, create a new router is equals to router. Then we export default router. Routes, image routes. So still will work the same. So in the routes here, what we'll do, router dot get, let's say default, just that. So in our controller we can just add here test. Okay, duplicate this, let's say test, return res.status 200.json message image endpoint working. So the image endpoint is working, then that's for test. So I'll prefix with underscore, then come back here, then we can say image controller.test. So that should be okay. If we come back here, run, you see it's working correctly. So then so from the controller we'll say okay, so const body is equals to request. So we can just destructure this, then we log the body. Then we return res.status 200.json. Let's say we return body. Okay. So if you may wonder, so let's see where are we going to use this. So let's call it router dot post upload image controller dot upload image. So if I send an endpoint, let's say how do we save this? Okay, so images upload, then I change this to post. Okay, if I send, you'll see body is an empty object, but if so back to the setup here, if I didn't add this, then we should have had some issues. Body raw JSON, same name, Mike. So if we send, you'll see it's getting an empty object. So that's because it's not able to pass the JSON body because we have disabled it. So if we just add this, then send, should be able to get that name. So be careful if you forget to put this middleware, high chances you will not get any response. Now you can see we get a response based on whatever we have passed as part of the body. So be careful on that. So that part is done. We need for this upload to work, we need a way to send files. Okay, so we need a way to send files. That will be in form of, we can't send it in JSON format. So then back we'll go to form data, then yeah, so in the form data you'll choose, see the key here, you'll choose type. So file type, let's say image is the key that we want. Then you select a file. I'll go to my normal images, select on that, then you'll see we have this. If we send this request, you'll see we get empty body, and let's say name is Ken. If we send it, you'll be getting empty object. Why is this? If we check our logs here, you'll see we have this empty. So reason for this is because Express itself doesn't know how to pass media files, so you need a third-party library for this. So that's where now we'll need Multa. So Multa is an npm package for handling file uploads. It's very nice to use, and only once you've added it is when you'll be able to process the files. So let's see how to put it in. And so first you need to install it. So pnpm I Multa p. So once we've installed Multa, you could see it has this d, small d. That means you need to install its types. So we have Multa already in our system now, and we can, let's test if we can have it. Request.files, okay, .file. So currently we don't have access to files. So once we need to set this up so that we'll be able to pass that. So what's required of us is to set up the uploader. Going to the documentation, you can see you need to import Multa, then you set up destination for the uploads and the endpoint, then you have to pass this to that endpoint. Okay, so we'll go this way. let's see another way. So I'll pick the disk storage here, copy this, then create a folder known as uploader. Then create a file inside it known as index.ts. Then paste that. Import Malta from Malta. Okay. So you're able to see we need to change the destination here. So let's convert it. This will be our app request. File will be express.malta.file. Okay. Then you have the callback. So this will be where we'll be storing our images, and we need to wrap it with a try catch. So if it fails, we call that. So error will be null here. Then catch block will pass the error. So we'll have it this way. Then we'll have this one here. So path to upload file I haven't defined. So if things go well, I will pass the path. Okay. Then so path is the destination where the files are supposed to be stored, and we pass the error as null. If things fail, then we pass the error and the destination as null. So okay. So we need to create something to be able to help us. I'll create another folder known as help us. File helpers.ts. So for the file helpers, I will just I'll use the fs, import fs from node fs. Okay. So I'll just have a class export class file helpers class, then static public static create folder void, let's say, should it be void or okay, static create directory folder. We take a path which will be a string, then we return not fs dot existing. So this will check if the folder exists, We check if the folder exists. If it doesn't exist, then now we execute fs.mkdir make directory sync. So this sync means it's synchronous, we don't need to await anything, so it will be more of the blocking way. So we need the path, which will pass the path there. Then from the path, then now we pass something known as recursive, make it true. So this will make sure if you have a nested folder structure, it will create all the folders for you, including the system under it, the folders under it. So just the same way you can decide here to create, let's say 1, 2, okay, 1, 2. Then you can see it cannot create 1, 2, no such file or directory, because it expects 1 to already exist. But if you pass this -p, then it will create 1 and 2 inside it. So that's how the recursive one will work. So we need to create one for deleting a file, public static delete file, which will take path string, which is a string. Then we check if fs.exist sync path. If path exists, we try catch fs dot unlink sync. So this will be synchronous, we pass the path. Otherwise we log say error deleting folder. Then we can just pass error dot message. Okay, so that will delete our file. Then there's one for directory exist, public static folder exist path. We pass path, which will be a string. Then what to return, let we declare a variable known as exist, will be false. Okay, so then we check fs dot access. Okay, so this one will check the path. If there are those flags, pass the path. Then we need to pass it a callback. Error so if error we make exist is equals to false, then else else exist is equals to true. Okay, then return exist. So this will check if the folder exists, then it will return to us the value. So the reason why I'm using classes here is because these are methods which are associated. Let's say create, just use the create folder, delete file. We have check if folder exists, then lastly so let's just make this async. So then we can use check synchronously, check if folder exists, async synchronously. So from here what we'll do is to check. Okay, this will be very simple. Okay, let's just call it file, not file, because file, the folder itself is a file and the files inside it are also files, so let's just call it file. For this one we'll just return public static async file exist. Let's just call it file exist. Check path should be a string, then we return fs dot exist sync path. So this should be able to get us something if it exists. So I guess that will sum it up for this helper. So this file helpers will be able to help us in formulating our uploader. So what we'll be doing next we need a way to rename our file, so we'll import install uuid. Okay, so for this we need a method for generating file names. So for generating file names, we'll have let's say okay, generate file name. We'll need to import this here. So we need to install types for UUID. Then this should now be good. Add node here. So get, we have this method known as get public static get file name, get file extension. We give it a file name, which should be a string. Then it should be able to return to us this. So we get path.extension name, then we slice the last one, so the first one from the slicing point. So so this one should get us get file extension. So from here let's have one for creating create file. Generate will be better. Generate file names from UUID. So we'll have this. So we'll have file helper dot generate get file extension. So this should get us the file extension for that. Then I guess now we are just good to go. So back to the uploader, we'll need to create a folder. Okay, so we'll need to create a folder, then we'll need to upload to that folder. So where will we be uploading all these? We'll import path config, then let's say so I'll call this images storage, so that we only upload images here. Let's call it image storage. So what we'll do is const folder upload folder. Okay, what's going on here? Upload folder will be path path.join path config dot uploads upload dir directory. We join it with images. Okay, so I won't do the so-called date and what have you. What I'll do is just to pass this here, because all I expect is for it to upload here. Upload folder. Okay, so once we have that, so we can prefix this here. So we'll have our app request. So what will be done here? We need a way to rename our files. But I forgot something. On top here, we need to check if folder exists or not. If exists, it's okay, else create new paths. So we'll need to import file helpers dot create folder. So create folder, we pass our upload folder. So as for this method, you can see we are checking if it exists, then we don't do anything. Otherwise, we create that folder. Here we have the file name. We need to name this file. So the file name which we'll be having here will be file name will be file helpers dot generate file name, then we pass file dot original name. Okay, then from here we just pass the file name. So here request isn't being used, you can just underscore it. Then we need now image filters. So const image filters. So we need to filter only images which will be of type multa dot options. So type of file filter, which should be a function which takes in a request, up request, a file, and a callback. So we need to have allowed, let's say whitelisted images will be of type image mime types, okay, array, but here we'll have, let's say I'll have SVG, I'll have JPG, JPEG, PNG, and WebPG. Which one else is left out? JPG and GIFs. So we need to check if whitelisted images dot includes file dot mime type as, so we need to cast it to image mime type. Then we pass callback. So for the callback we pass null if it's okay, then we just pass true here, else CB we call the callback new error, let's make it image type not supported. Then here we pass false. As any. So this will be our image filter. It will filter only supported images. Then after we've created a filter, then now we need to create an uploader. Let's call it image upload Malta. Then we pass image storage, pass in the image storage. File filters will be, we'll call it image filters. Then we pass in limits. Then we'll say file size. File size should be, let's say, up to 5 MB. 1024 times 1024 times 5. It's a maximum of 5. Then we'll just export image upload. Image upload. So the process here is creating a storage, set the paths, create the path if they don't exist. For the file name, we had already created a function to create for us the file name. Then now we add the filters to check if the file types are the ones which we require. Otherwise, if it's not in the whitelist, that means it's blacklisted. And we call an error here if things are not okay. Then finally we create a storage for that upload. Then now we export. So then how do we now do the upload? So we'll only be doing single file upload. So we'll come back to routes, image routes. Then we'll need to pass in a middleware. Then call it image upload dot single. Okay, so this dot single means we'll be getting a single file on this endpoint, but the field name should be image. Okay, the field name should be image. So let's go back to Postman and test. So it's upload. So you see we have name send. So no such file or directory cannot open that. So let's see. Okay. So seemingly